Hey Radiant Souls, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome for the first time. My name is Heather. I'm an intuitive artist, author, animal communicator, psychic channeler, medium, and I'm on a mission to empower and embolden others to connect with their divine radiant light. One of my favorite ways to do that and to help us all manage what is going on energetically in the world is a monthly energy forecast, and it is time for July 2025. When we looked at June last month, we talked about the topic or the theme of metamorphosis, and specifically the stage of metamorphosis where the caterpillar loses all identity as a caterpillar but hasn't yet stepped into becoming the butterfly in that chrysalis phase. It's the beautiful in-between, but it can feel really disruptive and it can feel confusing and chaotic because you're kind of in between identities, in between zones of life, in between phases of change. And I think as we're going through into July, we are still in a change theme. And many of you I know are feeling that in your personal lives, in the collective energy around us. What my team of spirit guides wanted to bring forward for us to consider and explore this month was thinking about basically being in the flow and where you are in the flow. And so they were saying the word for the month is confluence, but to look at it as confluence versus influence. Where are you? If you think of confluence, that's the merging of two streams in a river. It's the merging of ideas. For me, it's the softening and surrendering into flow. I'm picturing one of those lazy river rides at an amusement park. Influence is I have to direct the flow, or I can only go in the flow because somebody else says I need to do it this way. And if you picture a nice broad river where you can float with ease, that to me is more the energy of confluence, where influence is a little bit like the raging rapids because the banks of the river are really narrow. You're trying to control something, or you're allowing something to control your experience, and it gets a little dicey. It gets a little uncomfortable. So let's bring in the channeled message from the guides and see what else we can dive into, pun intended, since we're talking about water. And then I'll be back at the end of their message to look at the art for the month and talk about a few other things. So enjoy. Hello, bright and beautiful beings. We would speak to you on the overall topic of confluence, which by our definition, by our interpretation, is also related to flow. As you go into the month of July, many of you are finding obstructions. Many of you are finding limitations. Many of you are ready to freely float in your own lives, but you are observing and noticing things that constrict that flow. Whether those are within you or external to you, this is a time where the energy is ripe for you to examine those and examine them with the clarity that the water element can give you. Examine them, understanding that the water element supports and nourishes and allows your emotions to come to the forefront, not to overtake you and be in the driver's seat, so to speak, but to be part of the beautiful tapestry of your human life. We often hear others in a spiritual conversation or context saying it should be all love and light and you should rise above, and that some emotions are negative or dark or bad. And we would say all of your emotions are viewed through the perspective and the lens that you give them. So if you are labeling something as bad or harmful, consider where that label comes from. But as you go through the month of July and feel things very fluidly for yourselves, feel things very emotionally, just feel things. Do so in a way that also allows you to release that which does not serve you, rather than forcing a constriction, forcing a narrowing of the flow. There will also be times during the month for many of you where the pace feels very quickened, as if you are on a fast river. But then there may be times where it feels as if you have stagnated and that you are not moving in your flow. And we would ask you to consider, if you trust overall that being in the flow is a good thing, then you must also trust that the pause within the flow is also a good thing. It may be allowing the universe, your higher self, your guides to align things in your favor. But if you force a circumstance, if you rush that floating status down the river, if you paddle too quickly, you may miss the things that were meant for you. They will come back eventually, but would you not rather find them sooner than later? And as many of you have come out of June, the evolution and revolution of self, that some of that energy of the month brought you specifically and the world at large, for we saw many things at play in the larger context of the world that related to identity and things coming up in ways to be revisited, to be renewed, to be looked at again from a different lens and maybe tried from a different angle to resolve. Did you find that with yourselves as well? That you could see things from a new perspective. When you allow yourself to be in the flow, that scenery is ever changing. And so you can see yourself from this perspective, and then you allow yourself to be in the flow and you can see things from another perspective. It is a very healthy state in which to be. When you look at influence, which we would say is contrary to confluence, you are limiting, you are narrowing that perspective, and you are limiting that which you can accomplish and achieve, and the ways in which you can see yourself and the ways in which you can see the world. So where, dearest friends, can you be in a flow state for yourself? Where can you allow your emotions to come in as a valid experience without pulling you off of your center, without disrupting you, but allow them to be a reflection as if you were looking into a pool of water? What do you see back for yourself? Can you look at that perspective so that you see not only what you expect to see, but you pull back and you allow yourself to see all around you. You allow yourself to see the sky above you, the trees around you, all of the circumstances which have led to this moment, rather than forcing that reflection to be a certain way. We thank you for spending some time with us today. Enjoy that flow state. Enjoy navigating confluence throughout the following weeks. Be blessed, dearest friends. So it's no surprise that we are under the zodiac sign of Cancer as we're starting to go into July. There have been a lot of water themes coming up lately in my channelings, in my work with my team, in my work with clients. So I think this is a time that is ripe for that. And we are seeing a lot of things, you may want to call them triggers, in the collective, also in our personal lives, that are pushing the buttons of emotions, pushing the buttons of anger, of resentment, of fear. But if you imagine that we are all floating at a certain pace down a river, that allow that perspective to shift and change. And that's how we allow change overall to happen, because we're looking at it from different perspectives. And when I'm seeing this, I'm almost seeing like a spectator looking down at someone on the floating river, that you can see them from this perspective and they look a little differently. If you move downstream, now maybe their raft has twisted and turned a little bit and they just look different. We need to have those different perspectives in the way that we're looking at the flow of time overall, looking at the flow of our emotions, looking at the flow of our lives, and just bringing that into your awareness this month a little more than maybe you would standardly, because I think the energetics of the month are supporting that kind of touchstone, touching base with your emotions in a way that is healthy and not overwhelming, as long as you aren't in the influence where you're trying to control things too much. So let's look at the art for the month. Very water-based theme here. I would love to know what you all see here, what you think of it. And as always, if you would like to work with this piece in meditation, in journaling, just connecting with it deeper, you can download a free watermarked copy from my website, and I'll put the link below. I also offer this as prints on fine art paper, canvas, metal. Anything that you would like there, you can check that out as well. For me, it has a lot of elements of frequency as well. And I think that's what I was feeling into as well when I was creating this piece. It's not just water related to emotions like my team was talking about, but it's water related to its ability to be a carrier for frequency, a carrier for energy, a carrier for electricity, which is energy in that way. So for me, I would not be surprised if we don't have a lot of kind of surprising emotions, both personally maybe for a lot of us and also in the collective as we go through the month of July. But there may also be a beautiful cooling down because water brings that as well. And then the other thing that comes to mind as I'm looking at the art specifically is finding a different depth for yourself, finding a way that you can anchor in and hold your ground on something. So that's not the same as influence where you need to control it. But anchoring in and holding your ground in a way that you feel steadfast and secure, even when there are things flowing and floating around you. So let me know what you thought of the art. I love hearing your feedback and what you see in there that I may not see as well. So leave me a comment below with that. I'd also love to invite those of you who like these kinds of videos, like this kind of discussion and community, to join me in my mastermind membership. We've got a 3-month cohort of that starting on July 12th. It's called the Radiant Way Mastermind Membership. You get weekly exclusive videos from me in an online portal. But then we also meet together in what I call a playground call, because we come together and we talk about anything. No topic is off limits. We share in community, and it is a small group. I'm looking for maybe 5 or 6 more people to join, but it's a small group. So everybody gets personal attention. Everybody gets to feel seen, heard, witnessed. We have beautiful shares. We have beautiful discoveries and things that we uncover within ourselves. And so we have those meetings for about an hour to 2 hours every other week, July, August, and September. So we have 2, 4, 6 of those total. Yeah. And over the course of those 3 months, plus the online content. So if it's the right fit for you, I would love for you to join us. It's a beautiful group of amazing souls who are very supportive, very loving, very present, all on the journey of developing, discovering, and exploring what is going on in the world today, energetically, spiritually, psychically, all of that. So I'll put a link for that below too. Please check it out. I would love to have you come join us. And then as always, just check in the comments below. Let me know how you are seeing. What are you feeling coming in for July? Does this message resonate with you? Is it a good fit? What else would you like to dive into? There's that pun again, for the month of July for yourselves. I hope you're all doing well, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.